Hey guys, it's your buddy Ryan here, and I am just in the process of getting some shortwave radio set up here. We're going to do a scan and see what we can pick up from across the globe. You can see here I have my Texsun PL880 with beautiful yellow light on display here, and it is just going to do a little bit of a scan through and see what we can find. So without further ado, well, real quick, we'll actually just give you a look here. You can see I am pulling in directly from the line, going outside out the window to my 100-foot long wire here. And we're just going to scan and see what we can pick up. Let's see here. Get the shortwave. And go in on that ATS. Come on. There we go. So now I've got it scanning for stations. I'm just trying to get the camera angle right so y'all can see it a little bit better. There we go. And we'll just watch it scan and see what happens. You can see we're just scanning on through. Each one of these numbers as it goes up, that's another station that we've detected. What's up, Windy Little Bear? Great to see you on tonight. How you doing? Let's see, we've got 20 stations so far, and we'll just see what we pick up. The reason we're doing this right after the sun goes down is because the way radio wave propagation works with the ionosphere is that when the sun is directly beating its magnetic or electromagnetic and radio wave energy at the Earth, it'll make it harder to pick up signals that come from across the globe. So we wait till nightfall and we can hear stuff from all over the world. So we'll probably get New Zealand, maybe Madagascar. This thing has really amazing range. I'm using a 100-foot long wire outside. So basically, we'll get stuff from all over the world. I'm doing good, Wendy. Thanks for asking. Basically, I haven't done a shortwave session in a little while. I wanted to do this one just to kind of celebrate the fact that I got my first video with 10,000 views. I know that's teeny compared to lots of people, but for me, that's a big deal, and I'm pretty excited about it. And especially because, it was a video I did about how to make a long wire antenna, so kind of neat. Objectively linear. 1 volt drops every 10 feet. Okay. Well, that's cool. Thanks, Dilly to Chili. Okay. Here we go. So there's going to be a lot of, fire and brimstone, weird kind of stuff. If you kind of clarify there, Dilly, what you're trying to tell me, I'd be happy to talk to you about, but not sure what you're going for, pal. Okay. So this is one of my favorite stations. This is on 5,000 kilohertz. This is going to be out of Fort Collins, Colorado, my hometown. and you can hear it's the atomic clock. So literally happening in real time, being broadcast to me at the speed of light from Fort Collins, Colorado, is the official atomic clock time. Kind of cool. This is Radio Havana, Cuba. Looks like it's coming in real scratchy, though.
Was somebody that the Son of Man at that time knew as a friend. Hasn't he told all of us in this community and the other community that we're his friends?
Again, lots of Christian stuff gets broadcast worldwide on here. Fine if you're into that. Not what I look for.
Nimrod died, and Nimrod suddenly became the sun, shining in the sky. The conception was by a sunbeam. And the son that was born was Nimrod, incarnate again. In the flesh. Colors. Vamos a hacer nuestro invitado y tenemos también otras de gente que ha escrito así que Tomás Rodríguez Pita, este emprendedor cubano, asesor de
See what we got here. Sounds like some international music. Very interesting. See, I've got 100 feet of wire picking this stuff up. And it's just going to get clearer as the sun goes further behind the horizon. So it'll get better. Okay, that's something we can work with. Let's filter that a little bit.
No time for your fancy offerings. I just sent the drone in one. It's the IQ. We hit another load. Let's see his workshop. Looks like Bob was our sketches of our library.
There we go. So you can change how filter it is. See how much bandwidth can pass through. See you, Wendy. Okay. Try not to get booted off. There we go. Okay, let's give it another try here. Gonna go ahead and like this, and then now we're scanning again for more stations. So one thing about shortwave when you're doing it is there's a lot of situations where as the conditions are changing in the atmosphere with relation to electromagnetic waves hitting us from the sun and space and just electronic items in your community, conditions will change to where at some point you'll be able to get one station, at the next point you won't be able to. What is my name? Well, my name's Ryan. Yeah, thanks for asking. Channel name is Your Buddy Ryan for that reason. It's actually my real name. So pretty promising. Looks like we've got 14 signals in so far. Try not to bump the camera. Well, good to meet you, Kenna. And while this is scanning, might be kind of neat to show you guys. I built this little radio here. So that's kind of cool. But this one's just FM only. I'd love to build a shortwave radio someday. That'd be pretty neat. Let's see. Wendy Little Bear asks, what is your favorite color? Favorite color is blue. Yeah. Kind of basic. Like sort of a dark blue, you know, I like that color. Purple, that's a great color. Yeah, I'm always kind of a fan of sort of a fuchsia purple myself as well. Okay, let's see here. So we're sitting with 19 channels we found so far. Do I know Dandy's World? No, I have no idea what that is. Let's see here. Okay, let's see what we got. This is the atomic clock out of Canada. See if I can't clear it up a little bit for you. I can just barely hear him say coordinated universal time. We go back to Fort Collins. Game on Roblox. You know, I'm not much of a Roblox guy. I play a lot of older games. That's some stuff my kids like quite a bit, though. I'll have them check it out. They're very into Roblox. So 5850, I believe, is out of the U.S., so that's just music.
One from the outside trying to get in. Matthew 25, verse 11. Afterward came also the other virgin, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. See, afterwards. After the Passover. After the cutoff time. After the midnight hour has passed. Afterwards
Stuff from the deep south, always fun.
Religious worship.
Those guys know how to party.
Para que operen sus importaciones con una tasa de 1/24 que es insostenible.
I think this is Mexico.
Además, premiarlos con una tasa.
We'll listen to that for a minute.
Ingresos por exportaciones. El experto, es decir, Mauricio de Miranda Parrondo, se ha pronunciado en varias ocasiones contra la dolarización de la economía cubana y siguió diciendo, si realmente lo que pretenden es ofrecer bienes importados a un precio asequible para la población, porque ya sabemos que el sistema productivo está en bancarrota, lo mejor sería calcular el valor de dichas importaciones al nivel real al que está la divisa en el
Oh, I've been pretty good. It's always good when you get to do some shortwave. Okay, let's see. Now, there's going to be a lot of static on some of these, just because they're coming from all the way across the world. You can see me turn the knob, see what I'm doing. Boop. Man, not a lot yet this time of night. I might have to come back to it a little bit later and try again, but let's cycle through, and then we can switch to a different radio to see if we get any different results. I have kind of a neat different setup and a couple of sort of cheaper and weird radios I wanted to try out tonight. So 15 already by 7,500 kilohertz. That's pretty good. Okay, so we've got more presets than last time. See, like I said, it kind of varies from minute to minute. And the sun probably went down here half an hour, 45 minutes ago, truly. So reception's only going to improve over the next hour or so. And a lot of it depends on who's broadcasting at what time. You know, some stuff is listed online, some stuff isn't. So hopefully we can find something kind of weird and see, you know, maybe some music out of Africa or Japan. Does a lot of Saturday night stuff sometimes, so let's check it out. '20's not bad. So you can see the presets I've gotten here. There's 20 of them so far. Sometimes I've had them get as high as like 90 though, depending on like how good the conditions are and who's broadcasting at the time. What's everyone out there up to tonight? Getting ready for Christmas or whatever holiday you do or don't celebrate? I know my family's getting kind of excited. What time is it for me out here? Let's see. Well, I'm in California, so my time is 6:14. And being located kind of in a mountain in the middle of nowhere, I'm on a 2-acre property. I have 100 feet of wire outside catching signal. Ooh, that's pretty clear.
Adam could have said, you know what, I was doing fine by myself. I didn't ask for nobody, and I didn't want nothing, and you had to interfere. But the boys couldn't find that. So where are you, Adam? Where's Al?
Religious stuff always coming in loud and clear and always from America.
Illinois. And God said, well, what are you doing over there? I can tell you go over there. He said, well, I screwed up. I screwed down there.
So I think my policy is we'll just sit on each one for about 30 seconds, unless it's like definitely copyrighted music that I don't want on. 9:15, so you must be out on the East Coast, huh?
You see the woman I asked for, the one I wanted?
Okay. I guess I can tell you guys what these numbers mean. One on the left is going to be how strong the signal is, and I believe the one on the right is how much interference there is. So that's a pretty good ratio here. Oh, I'm going to talk. Let's see.
At the tone, 2 hours, 16 minutes, coordinated universal time.
Okay, so you just got the universal time from the atomic clock in Fort Collins, Colorado. You know, probably right around 2,000 miles away, maybe 1,500 from where I am, out on the West Coast. So that's kind of cool to be able to catch that. As promised, stuff is starting to come in clear. Music.
To the USA as soon as possible. I sent it to the Universal Network, and I will take care that you in Golden Borough also study the material when you want. Here in Europe, the situation is not stable, and I'm afraid that my work will be attacked. And so it will send to Los Angeles, and I will see to it that it is also copied and sent to me. It is 40 kilograms of radio material, concentrate to the wondrous time we are now in, and the coin is peace. We open these streets together, and we will get into the new age. Our new age. It's now time for it. Bless you all, brothers and sisters in Walterboro. And you, Brother Rich, yeah, you're right. You're right. You saw it, that I will not accept it, that I accept it. It's time now for that. We are all men, we are all human, we are all the same. There will be no idolatry. We are. Nimrod died, he's supposed to resurrected from the waters out of the Red Sea, from Egypt.
What is that, a calculator? No, this is a shortwave radio. I'm listening to stuff from across the planet right now. That's hilarious.
OANNES.
It's a Texan PL880.
The cognate word for John was Joannes. Tranquilidad a sus alrededores que están dentro de aquellos que estaban en el centro. Si tienen que ofrecer esa estabilidad al mercado. Pero, evidentemente, no se logra nada si no comienzan a vender divisas de manera real. Si comenzar a vender dólares en el mercado, sin dar el mercado.
Oh, no, I'm just teasing a little bit. You're okay. What do we have here? Sounds like a data signal. No? 6180. I think that's China, maybe. Let's switch to kind of a weirder radio. Okay. So, the Texan's my favorite radio. But before that, I had the Sea Crane Skywave SSB. But you can see it's been a little bit jankified because the speaker stopped working. So I took a cheap radio called a Sea Wadon and harvested the speaker box from that, a speaker, and then since I had combined them together instead of the Sea Crane, it is now the Sea Wadon. So let's give this guy a try. Okay. And since I'm doing the 3.5 millimeter jack directly into my other radio, and this one does not have the jack, I'm going to be using this sort of bit here. So you plug it into this, and then this can attach directly to the radio antenna. So I'll give that a try. Get in there. There we go. I'll turn the light off on this guy to save battery. And I'm just going to go like this. Get a little. There you go. You snap that into place nice and snug. It's a nice tight connection.
We're about to find out, I guess. He was in the military's remote viewing.
Oh.
He now runs a company called SciTech that does private remote viewing.
Cool. Some reruns of Coast to Coast. Little Art Bell. But that's on FM, and that's not what we're going after. So we're going to switch to a shortwave. Okay. Let me do our ATS. Okay. Now we are searching. It's similar to the other one. It's going to put in memories for every single one it finds. Hopefully. And you can see this is kind of significantly slower than the Texan. I was a pretty big supporter of C Crane radios, just sort of in theory, I guess, until I actually owned a couple. I have the C Crane Skywave here as well. And they're all right radios, and they really make a big deal out of being an American company. But to be honest, their quality just is not as good as the Texan radios. And I really don't want that to be true, but I've had 3 C Crane radios, and all 3 of them have had problems with the speaker after a short amount of time, just stopping working. So this one's kind of the Frankenstein one, so I could still, because the guts of this thing are pretty good. It's just the speaker's bad. So with headphones, I really like the C Crane radios, but this built-in speaker is just not very good. But this one, it works all right, the one I put in there. It's just kind of a cheapy speaker that I had laying around. Pretty similar to like one of these I just had from another radio kit. Soldered it into place in there and works all right. So it looks like we've got a few on this page so far. Maybe I'm reading that wrong. Let's see how these rack up. Because I think it goes 1 through 9 and then 0. So if I'm right, the next page should populate. That's one thing that's a little weird about this one, is that each page, I think, only has 9 inputs, but there are like 10 pages, so kind of weird, a little different way to navigate, a little less intuitive. So yeah, hopefully this catches a few things. If not, we can always switch back to the Texan, or have a couple other radios we can try as well. Varying degrees of quality. I have this super cheap XH data radio I want to do a review of soon, so we'll probably capture some footage with this. Let's see, it's just a skinny little analog radio. It's got shortwave, weather band, AM, FM. I think it was like $12 before all the tariff stuff. I don't know. The C Crane is not looking super promising. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Okay.
When Moses and Joshua were here, they were rebelling, murmuring, complaining. Man is always that way. We look back, our country, for example, looks back at John King and think, what a great president he was. But in reality, when he was president, he really wasn't a good president. But the world glorified him.
Let's see here.
They glorified sports, Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth, Henry Aaron, Roger Maris, baseball.
I'm trying to remember how to do this here.
And the hard-throwing fireballs of the day. Babe Ruth would be just a minimal player in baseball today. But he was fat and in shape. Mickey Mantle was a drunk. His drunk
Let's see here. Alright, frequency.
Oh man, they ain't like the old school guys. Hard working, playing hard. Hello, home runs, but in reality, they're a lot better.
Let's see, page. No, that's not it. Meter.
I recognize the greatness of our baseball players more until
Arm, time set, no.
man, where are they at today? But the next the players are like they was back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Well, let's just try fine-tuning it, I guess. We'll just do it sort of roulette style, see when it gets to it. There we go. So it's 5,000 kilohertz. You can hear it coming in even stronger now. Radio Havana, Cuba. Nothing.
It's a far cry to cut the tree and nail it down and deck it with silver and gold and bow down.
Cutting the tree, nailing it down, decking it with silver and gold, sacrificing 3 lambs. Let's see here. A lot of I Got Sunshine going on tonight. Ooh, China. Let's listen. You can just barely hear it coming in. Let's see if we can find something with a little stronger signal. That's a good sign. We're starting to hear stuff from China coming online. So we'll let this guy cycle through, and if it doesn't work out, we'll switch back to the Texan for a minute, and then maybe try this guy out. Yeah, so no problems at all going on right now. Literally what's happening is it's just scanning through the highest bands. And kind of once you get up there, that's kind of where it's harder to get anything. So that's all right. Above about 19,000, I don't usually expect to find too much unless it's like Chinese stuff. Just people talking. I don't speak Chinese or Mandarin or any Cantonese, either of them. So don't really understand what they're talking about. I do like it when I get music from Asia, though. That's always fun. Okay, it's gonna be nothing, guaranteed. All right, let's switch radios. Okay, we're gonna go over to this really cheap shortwave radio that I have. It's really kind of meant for on-the-go listening, and it actually is all right. I haven't really gotten anything on the shortwave with it, but it does really good with the AM and FM. Let's see, maybe get a little less glare on that. Okay. Okay, we got turned on. Let's get it switched to weather band shortwave. Okay. Shortwave. Let's see. We have FM, medium wave, which is AM, shortwave, weather band. Okay. Shortwave it is. Let's see if we get anything at all on this. So these kinds of radios, you really have to feel around. It's very sensitive. That almost sounded like sun. That was weird. Here's some music coming through. It's so sensitive, though. I'm having to move the dial so carefully. Oh, is that something? Oh, I hear it in there. Let's get it. Very finicky, this cheap little radio. Somewhat frustrating, especially when considering it has pretty good FM reception. See, FM's coming in great, but I really don't recommend this guy for shortwave. I haven't really gotten, even though it has the ability technically to play shortwave, it's just garbage for that. And I've reviewed some sort of cheaper radios that do work well, but the XH data is not one of them. So let's jack directly into the shortwave antenna on the good old Texan here. And stop fooling around with goofball radios. And use the good one. And again, for anyone just tuning in, this is hooked up to my 100-foot long wire outside. So that really maximizes how much reception you can get from all over the world. And compared to the C Crane, you can see it's going really, really quickly. So how is everyone tonight? Hopefully doing pretty well. You guys will see this scan through, and it's already found 7 stations. 10, 11, 12. So now that it's a little later in the evening, 45 minutes further past sunset, we're getting much better and better reception. So I'm hoping to be able to catch RNZ International, which is Radio New Zealand. We'll see. 14 so far. It's kind of like fishing. You just never know what you're going to get. Whoa, Origin X, it's my buddy Omar. How are you, man? Thanks for joining the Shortwave Radio live stream. Oh man, we are watching you live. Excellent. Well, hey guys, I hope you're doing really well tonight. We'll see what we can get on my sort of cheap radio. I wasn't able to get much. On a medium grade radio, I got China. And so this guy, I'm bringing out the big one here. This is my best radio. I have a very old radio that was fancy from the 80s. We might use that as well. What is the range of this device? Well, it can get signals from all over the world. I often routinely listen to music and talk from Japan. I've caught Puerto Rico before, or Cuba, this Radio Havana, Cuba. See, I get a lot of stuff from Madagascar, Ascension Island. I've gotten a broadcast from Midway Island, Okeechobee, Florida, where my brother lives. That's kind of cool to instantly get a signal from there. I can get the atomic clock out of Fort Collins, Colorado, Canada, and Honolulu, Hawaii. Oh, here we are. Speaking of which, this is the Canada atomic clock. You can just sort of barely hear it. Plenty of interference. $48.40. I'm going to say this is somewhere in the south. It's the atomic clock from Colorado. kind of cool. Music.
See, God talks to me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because I have the radio on.
God talks to you 24 hours, 7 days a week when you have the radio on. It is so true. Sometimes that's all that's on here.
You almost have to go from back to commune with your own heart to go back and stop again. So your thoughts aren't running all over the place.
More Christian stuff. Not knocking it if you're into that. Just not my deal. I believe this is Mexico City. Hello, Wendy. How are you doing? Omar, if you're listening, what's he talking about? Translate all of that. Omar says Mexican radio stations are famous for huge wattage. That's true. I've always been able to get Mexican AM radio in Colorado from Mexico. 6185. No, this is Mexico. I don't know what the other one was. This is Mexico City. It's repeating a lot. The words are garbled. Yeah, that's all shortwave radio. It's all garbled. Until the conditions are just right. Some music from Mexico City. Let's try to find something clearer, though. Oh, yeah. Copyrighted music. Skip over that. Well, let's give it one more search. Yeah, I would say the biggest downside, the upside of shortwave radio is that you can hear stuff from everywhere. The downside is, well, can you really? Sometimes things come in beautifully and very clear. Sometimes they don't. My understanding is there's a lot of solar activity right now. So, yeah, weather does definitely affect the receivers. Both in space weather, like stuff happening with the sun. If there's sunspots, it'll affect this because we're getting through the ionosphere is where the radio signal is bouncing off of. And what ends up happening is if there's a lot of solar activity, it will not, the signal won't make it to your receiver. You'll just pick up solar energy. The other thing is if there's thunder or lightning, electrical stuff in the lower atmosphere, just, up in the clouds, you can actually hear the lightning. You can hear it charge and discharge through the radio. And you can actually predict when the lightning is going to strike next, which is kind of cool. You can literally hear lightning through your radio on AM. It's also a really good way to shock the heck out of your hands is to be using a 100-foot long wire during a period of high static electricity. I've been shocked by this radio up in the mountains here in California because of all the dust and dry wind in the summer. I went to use my radio and it built up a static charge on the 100 feet of wire and zapped the heck out of my hand and almost smoked my radio. Okay, we have 19 presets and it's almost done searching. Here goes.
That's what I had dreams about. Hey, y'all don't really mind. I didn't think I'm that much. I didn't think maybe I had a thing on my...
Let's listen for the universal time. Does it use batteries? Could it be used during a disaster? Well, yeah, I have solar chargers. I can charge this radio with solar energy if I need to. I think your best bet is really just to get, if you want something for a disaster, something like this, have new batteries in it. Oh, here we go.
At the tone, 2 hours, 15 minutes. Coordinated universal time.
Yeah, so you can use this during a disaster. I think a lot of times just for being ready, if you have like a go bag that you're keeping a radio in, it's a really good idea to just have one that's powered by some double A's and have an extra set of double A's in the bag. That way you're ready. But something that's chargeable like this also can be a fine thing if you have a way to charge it. I have one that charges with a crank, but it's really a terrible radio and it takes forever to charge it enough to use it if you use the crank. It's got a solar panel, but the solar panel is not great. So there's a lot of sort of goofy survival radios out there, but just a small, efficient radio with shortwave AM, FM weather band.
At the tone, 2
Oh.
hours, 51 minutes. Coordinated universal time.
Yeah, I always think just keep it simple, you know. I'll see you, Wendy. Have a great night.
Ever in any way cause my children.
Yeah, I think AA batteries are the way to go too. They're plentiful. You can buy them in bulk. If you're worried about an emergency, you just save some extra batteries. Let's listen to this for a minute. Some gospel. Oh. Ooh, what do we got?
Patterns that can be looked at, viewed. Just like that conversation, have you considered my service, Joe? Your name can be like pasted in the blank.
Let's put the antenna up too. It certainly can't hurt, can it? Darn, Mexico City not coming in that clear. So I've got another kind of way to hook up the long wire with these gator clips. So we might try that too. I'm kind of experimenting with different things right now. See, Origin X asks, so every night is a different broadcast search dependent on the location of the globe. Yeah, so it depends on a lot of things. Different people have different broadcasting stations, and all the different stations will rent out time to different companies. So you end up with interesting things like you might get the BBC radio in French broadcasting from Madagascar. That's a combination I've seen before. Or you could get some Chinese radio international broadcasting from Ascension Island out in the Pacific. So there's all these places on Earth where are really good places to broadcast, and a lot of times they'll lease out time to different stations from different countries. So there's often a situation where you have a broadcaster located in a specific country broadcasting stuff from another country. Like, say, you could have Czech Radio International broadcasting out of, Germany, and we're receiving it here in America. Just every combination. We can even hear North Korea broadcasting a lot of the time. For better or worse, you can hear their propaganda and their music. That's one of the few stations they're allowed to listen to in North Korea. Okay, 18 signals. Now, this is kind of a shame because on a Saturday night, there's usually a bunch of stuff coming in. Keep listening. Oh, we got a ham guy. Let's switch to single sideband. So how do I do that? Upper sideband? Ooh, what do we have here? Ha ha ha! That's awesome, Omar. What is this signal? That's pretty crazy, right? Let's just listen to that for a few minutes. Probably 3i out Atlas broadcasting to us as it passes by. Strong on Jesus. Nope.
Toda persona tiene todos los derechos y libertades proclamados en esta declaración, sin distinción ninguna de raza, color, sexo, idioma, religión, opinión, origen nacional, social, asesinato.
Alright, let's try again. I think when I was messing with the sideband, I lost my signals. Wish I had a way right in my phone to show you guys something. Let's see here. No. Nope, I don't have a way. Darn, I was going to show you guys a picture I made of 3I Atlas yesterday. I actually managed to see as this supposed comet or space object from another star system got as close as it would get to us. I managed to capture one picture with the tail is totally curved, and then the next one where the tail is totally straight within the span of about 3 minutes. So I've never seen any other comet do anything like that, and it was incredibly interesting because that means it's rapidly changing and highly energetic. So my theory is that it's shooting out cryovolcanic jets as it spins, and that's kind of what the scientists are kind of saying now is maybe there might be cryovolcanic activity. That's why we can see things blowing off of 3I Atlas. And was out taking some pictures with my telescope in the yard, and got some pretty interesting ones. It changes every time you take a picture of it, and I only do about 3 minutes worth of exposure. So that means from 1 minute to the next, this thing looks totally different, which would explain why, as it was approaching the sun, it had an anti-tail, tail going in the wrong direction in some pictures, and in other pictures it didn't. It's because it's moving, and it looks like it's kind of spinning as it goes along. So kind of interesting stuff. See, looks like we're up to about 18 presets so far. Hopefully we catch that one from China again. I know it'll just be Chinese talk radio, but we can tune in for a few minutes. Now, obviously, your best time and place to do shortwave radio is going to be away from other people, away from electronics, especially chargers or things that emit a little bit of RF interference. Your best bet is go to the top of the mountains out in... Oh, hey, bro. Riley Carroll, 9671. That's my brother. What is this device? It is the Texon PL880. That's my shortwave radio. I have it hooked up to a 100-foot long wire outside, so it can get stuff from all over the world. A lot of religious stuff from like Florida and Alabama. This is the atomic clock out in Fort Collins, Colorado. Omar says 3I Atlas is not a comet. It's something new that'll be eventually reclassified. I agree. I don't know what it is, but it's certainly not a very normal comet, is it? Okay, let's see. This is Cuba. I'd be able to get this if I was out in Florida. But in California, it's bad reception.
.com. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I do appreciate it. I hope everyone is doing well. Today, I'm going to be thinking outside of the box. I'm going to be giving you some suggestions and ideas to make money, to save money.
No thanks. I'd rather spend my money on expensive radios. Music. What do we got here?
Saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting...
Bunch of religious stuff on here always.
Well on the earth. Those at home, and I speak to some of you. You've struggled and struggled with sickness.
Ah.
Wide radio.
Let's see. I want to try something. We'll just search through and see what we get as we get it. Well, what the heck? Alright, let's just do a master scan again. That's just the simplest way to do it. So it changes from minute to minute what you can get on here. So it's worth searching and researching and researching. If I don't get anything new, I think for this next search I'll swap out my antenna. So you can see we've only filled up one page, and this thing holds 99 captures per page. So it's pretty rare that I've filled more than the one page, but that's fine. We're up to 13 so far, though. 14. And each time that number goes up, that just means there's one more station. You can see it briefly sort of flash as it goes to the next section of the band. Shortwave radio is made up of several different bands that you can switch between. But this thing just searches through all of them. And the reason for that is certain sections of radio frequencies are reserved for different reasons. So some parts of it you can broadcast on, some you can't. One of the coolest places I visited, radio-wise, was in Okeechobee, Florida. The broadcasting station out of there is just massive. And all the way out in California, I can hear it loud and clear any night of the week. Of course, usually it's just Southern religious stuff. And, again, if you're into that, that's fine. Not my deal.
Would have a lasting influence on this universe.
A lasting influence.
For all the entire world. If God became a man, his words would satisfy the heart and souls of people.
Satisfy the hearts and souls.
For more information, visit tendside.org/www.
I think part of the reason there's so much religious content on shortwave just has to do with, those guys have been doing this sort of radio evangelism a long time. And they have plenty of money to keep broadcasting. Look at that. Some sort of signal.
There was some jealousy starting to creep up among our rescue dogs.
And a lot of the shortwave stuff is in the South. And a lot of the people, consequently, Southern Baptists love to use it. For them, it's local stations. Ooh. Yeah. Can't.
His face shining, he knew everything's going on. Poor old Joshua's Neverland. He neither was up there talking to God nor in the camp with people.
Riley says it sound like a secret message not intended for us. I'll find those sometimes, Number stations.
No queremos ver. No aceptamos el fragante desprecio de los principios democráticos establecidos en la Carta Democrática Interamericana.
Estados Unidos apoya intensamente el proceso democrático en Honduras. El pueblo hondureño no debe ser despojado de su elección para el próximo presidente. Responderemos de manera rápida y decisiva a quienes
This might be Radio Havana, Cuba, but I can't use my phone to look it up while I'm live streaming it. So we're flying blind.
Las protestas contra la injusticia es un derecho de las personas. Este tema. Como bien ustedes saben, en los últimos tiempos el pueblo cubano ha tenido un gran despertar en materia cívica con respecto a no...
It comes in and out. See how it's kind of clear now? It is just that garbled. I'm gonna try, though, a different antenna here. So I'm gonna set this back, and we're just gonna do a scan through here on its own. Let's see if it can get anything without the 100 feet. I'm gonna go outside real quick and change out the antenna. Take just 10 seconds. Okay, coming on back. Well, a little wonky. You can see I've got this. I'm going to attach that to my antenna. I'll show you where it's at. Okay, so that goes down to the radio. Basically, I have a pass-through there going outside. And there's 100 feet of wire out there, suspended about 20 feet in the air, going the length of my 2.5 acre property here. So we get some pretty good reception, typically. Get kind of locked back in. This into frame. Okay. It looks like it was only able to get 7 unaided. That's all right. I'm going to have a much longer wire for the antenna with the gator clips. So that puts the long wire I'm using outside further away from the house, which should in turn get us better reception. So is it 100 foot in the air or running along the ground? So it's running horizontal to the ground, but it's about 20 feet plus in the air consistently. My property's up on a hill, so I'm able to maintain that height all the way down to the bottom. It's basically suspended by like a aluminum pool stick down at the bottom of my hill. Okay, let's see what we got.
His name whereby he shall be called.
That does sound clearer.
Our righteousness.
Por eso, cuando la ley
Okay. So let's see. We're going to compare now scanning with this versus scanning with it jacked directly into the antenna port that I had hooked up before. I think that was picking up about 14 last time we used it. Now this is just straight up a gator clip hooked to my antenna, hooked to the 100 feet of wire. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, 12 already by 13 by 7,500. That's pretty good. I'm feeling a little bit more confident. I don't think that when I was hooking into the antenna jack was that good of wire. What got me into this hobby? Well, trying to think. So my older brother, Richie, had a shortwave radio he played with at the cabins. That's the first time I got interested in that. But I didn't really pick it up until I was a young adult. Oh, you know what it is? I actually, when I got my shortwave or my ham radio license, it kind of got me thinking more about radios. And I remembered that we had an old shortwave radio at my cabin, family cabin growing up. And then I decide, well, may as well check it out, see what's on there. Because I remember that we could get stuff from like France and heard the BBC once. But it was only briefly that we used it. And yeah, so I got my own. And what really got me into it was there was a program called Midnight in the Desert, which was an Art Bell show that he did late in life after Coast to Coast and sort of competing with Coast to Coast. And he got his start. One of the first stations he got on was shortwave stations. And so I caught that and I was hooked because I was already a Coast to Coast AM fan. But being able to hear Art Bell just broadcasting with his own show on my shortwave radio was pretty cool. And I was able to get Radio Amazonia out of Brazil, too. And I loved listening to 700 different versions of Girl from Ipanema. All right, let's see.
God doesn't know about it.
God doesn't know about it.
Get better. 3 UTC on December 21st, 3.67. Space weather for the past 24 hours has been minor.
Space weather.
Radio blackouts reaching the R1 level occurred. No space weather storms are predicted for the next 24 hours.
Okay, so she was talking about space weather. That's exactly what I was talking about. Could interfere with the radio. So that's kind of cool to hear. Yeah, so for instance, we had Aurora Borealis out here, and I think that messed with some people's electronics. Like if there's Aurora Borealis, you cannot get shortwave radio very well because it's magnet interference.
Matter of fact, I didn't know Oh, that is a low bar. Well, they're here, and we can't throw them out.
So why don't you yes, what have you seen? Oh, I'm so glad to be back. What is it? I have a question. What is in the stomach? Oh, nothing much. Flowers.
The vindication of God just keeping this prophet here. Profited with a storm immediately thereafter. And notice Jesus told him to cross that sea. In the dead center of God's will, the storm came.
Riley says, I had trouble hunting the other night with my thermal, very humid evening with fog made my visual range cut in half. Clarity was very poor. That's too bad. I guess fog would affect the thermal, wouldn't it? Try and find something with limited interference.
Coordinated universal time.
This is the universal time out of Hawaii. So that's all the way out in the Pacific. We're hearing that from California. It's kind of cool.
And so the way that we assemble together each
See
week
here.
is like a temple unto the Lord. And the Lord, and he shall bear the glory and shall...
Yeah, so I think to some degree the gator clipped version here is working a little bit better. You can see it, you know, where we at. Clipped to the antenna up there. I was using the antenna hooked up to the long wire directly through a jack, but I'm less than confident in that jack. So I'm getting a little bit better clarity this time. But just hoping someone comes online broadcasting something a little bit more. And sometimes shortwave radio is the waiting man's game. A really big reason I do this, though, is because a lot of times when I'm out stargazing, it's in areas out in the middle of nowhere. And that's the perfect activity to go along with while you're just sitting looking, waiting for shooting stars and taking photos and such. Something great in the background is to, try to find some music playing out of Japan or maybe news from Radio New Zealand International. I can get those guys pretty clear out here. A lot of times I get a Czech Republic News Association out of Romania, I want to say. So you never know what you're going to hear. There's a guy called UFO Joe that comes on from time to time, talks about UFOs. I'd love to catch him. Love to catch him on the air, but only very rarely have I been able to catch him. Riley, you got to use those thermals to see if you can go see some weird stuff over the ocean out there.
www.mainstreet-churchofchrist.com.
Church of Christ.
Isaiah chapter 11, verse 3. And he shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of the Lord.
Okay, so that's a good question. Do people post online when and where they'll be streaming on Shortwave? How do you find UFO Joe other than chance? He has like a janky Web 1.0 website that you can go to, and he says when he'll post or when he'll broadcast rather. Um, so you can time it out and try to catch him if you know. I wish you would post his stuff online too, so I could at least listen to his program. But it's just sort of a mythical level catch for me because I don't know if he's on the East Coast and I'm on the West Coast. Maybe broadcast before the sun goes down here, which would make it hard for me to catch.
Fewer there are, the sooner the better. When would we leave? And what about the day after tomorrow?
Well, I think we found a radio play.
All right, Professor, I'm with you.
Cool.
Well, these are the Vermilion Cliffs, Professor.
Hey. Oh, I'm fine. They're as breathtaking as the Grand Canyon itself. I had no idea they towered so high.
Yes, they make you realize just how insignificant man really is.
Well, this region is so desolate, Martin, that it's all but unexplored. That's why I'm drawn to it time and time again.
Yes, I can understand that. It represents the challenge of the unknown.
Careful, Martin, you'll get the exploring bug.
Oh, I've already been bitten, Professor.
I am.
You're going to be an explorer and an archaeologist?
I'll have to start teaching you the fundamentals of the profession.
Stand.
As soon as that's a good start, we'll camp here for the night.
It certainly is hot, Professor. Exploring isn't as easy as I thought. All right, Professor Wagner, for 20 minutes now, you've been sitting on that rock-covered cliff.
Note the boulders strewn over the face of that cliff.
What about it?
That's a very peculiar landform. If you carefully study the formation of it,
What's peculiar about it?
many of the rocks look as though they'd been placed there by human hands.
But why? And by whom?
One of the ancient Aztec forms of punishment was to seal a person in a cave by means of a landslide or the shining heavy rocks in front of the mountain.
That landslide, there must be hundreds of...
So Riley asks, is this a rerun of a vintage radio show? I think it is. I think it
Brought
is.
the dynamite along?
Yes. Probably all the time to this skeleton. In that case, it would have been a waste of dynamite. However, we'll chance it. Oh, Sam.
What do you want?
Just case of dynamite, Sam. We'll blast that landslide.
Professor, that's a really ten-way beat.
Why?
Really scared. That does not wake him up. You really believe that, Martin?
I wouldn't laugh. Sam may be uneducated, but he senses things that you and I can't even begin to comprehend.
Wait a minute.
Let's see what else there is. We'll come back to this.
Things so. And he said, men, brethren, and fathers both. A God of glory appeared unto our father Abraham when he was in Missouri.
It's the interpretation.
What was the problem?
Ooh. Sounds like we caught some Christmas music. Very cool. I don't know what's happening, but there's like bells and howling noises, but also a lot of interference.
Ahora mismo en onda corta, en los 6030, en los 7335, en los 7365 kHz y a través de martinoticias.com. Continúe en sintonía con Radio Martí.
Radio Martí, that's out of Puerto Rico. All right. Radio Martí. Radio Martí does counter programming that they shoot back at Radio Havana, Cuba. Because there's a lot of Cuban expats living, and their descendants living in Puerto Rico. So they shoot Radio Martí back. Oh man, it came in clearly for like a minute. Oh. Radio Martí.
Aquí comienza.
Yeah, I can't do pop music for too long. I don't want my stream knocked off the air. Alright, let's search again. Can I broadcast myself? So, sometimes on here, right around 3,900 kilohertz, I'll find shortwave radio, like ham operators. So if I had a ham technician license, I could broadcast on there. But I think I have, what is it? No, I think I have my technician license, but I think you need a general, if I recall, to broadcast up in there. But I think there's a different allotment for like ham users versus like the actual shortwave stations. But I've talked on a guy's rig in Fort Collins, Colorado, to a gentleman who was commuting to work in Japan using his ham radio device that works on extremely similar principles to the shortwave radio. It was kind of cool because his rig was 100% solar panel or powered by two huge panels in the back of his truck. His call sign was N0WAR, or No War. He was an old hippie type guy. And I got a mean letter in the mail from a guy who was listening to us broadcast, and he didn't hear that I was KD0QOA broadcasting under the assistance of N0WAR, which I said over and over, but he started listening later and thought I was just broadcasting on my own up in those bands. And he sent me like an angry letter in the mail, like a nasty gram. And then the guy whose license I was working under, N0WAR, sent his nasty gram back to him and said, hey, no, actually, he was working under my license. We said this several times. You must not have heard it. And so then we ended up, he got a nasty gram. Like, we both got citations from this jerk whose idea of fun is just to sit there and monitor the shortwave area to tattle on anyone who's broadcasting not the way that he likes. But he was totally wrong, totally out of line. And my buddy N0WAR framed that because it was such a proud moment for him to get a nasty gram in the mail. How did he get our address, though? Well, when you have a call sign, because you're registered with the federal government to broadcast on the ham radio bands, it's a self-regulating agency, right? So we, as ham radio technicians and generals or whatever, ham radio operators, your call sign is actually linked with your address. So anyone who's broadcasting, because it's public and you're licensed publicly, if you use your privileges incorrectly on the ham radio bands, someone can actually report you and you can get a citation sent to your address, which is what happened to me. There's no like financial anything. It's just some guy writing you an angry letter, basically like a old ass man with nothing better to do. Oh.
3 hours, 35 minutes. Coordinated universal time.
Acetone, 3 hours, 35 minutes. Coordinated universal time.
So the fact that we're getting Fort Collins, Colorado, kind of okay, a little scratchy, is just kind of speaking to there must be a lot of interference in the atmosphere tonight. Can't hear Cuba at all, but the radio knows there's a signal there.
Just sitting here, it's a boulder. Circumcised in heart and ears.
On the outside, you look pretty good from that side, but inside, you're full of all good things and corners. You blind guys, and you take the beam out of your own eye, and then you can see clearly to take the mote out of your brother's eye.
I remember that sermon.
Tuvo la oportunidad de trabajar con varios de los más destacados científicos de la época. Este fue el inicio de su carrera en la física nuclear. Uno de los hitos más significativos en la vida de Segre fue su participación en el descubrimiento del elemento 93, el neptunio, en el año 1940.
Shoot, Radio Marti might be out of Florida. It's either Florida or Puerto Rico.
De California, Berkeley. El neptunio, un elemento radioactivo, fue el primer elemento transuránico que actually obliterated.
Man, pickings are slim. I'm gonna, I guess this is the last thing I do here. Try the old handheld radio before I call it a night. Okay. So we're gonna switch to the audio crazy. Okay, so it's an 11 band handheld or hand spinning, hand operated radio. Got it just as a cheapie on Amazon. It's not old or anything. It just is made to look that way. And it's all right. I like it because it's hand operated. And so sometimes I like to take this one out in the yard and sit with it and spin the knobs and just see what I can get. A radial, dial shortwave radio like this, or any radios, I think a good way to get kids into it. At least my boys, when they were little, they loved turning the knobs on the radio, seeing what exotic signals we could get from wherever. So do like radio and stargazing nights sometimes. Okay. So I'll give you a little tour of the radio. And you can see these are all of our different band knobs. So we're going to be using those to cycle through the various bands. And I'll keep that in frame so that you can actually see what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. But I've got the tip gator clipped on over there. And here we go. So unlike the other one, this has no filters, so we're going to hear static until we hear something. I don't expect to hear much in this lower band here. So we're going this far left shortwave band. Oh. I think I found a ham radio guy. Someone's talking. This is analog searching. We're just doing it by ear. Just, oh. My other machine I was using, no, it's pretty new. I only have one vintage radio that I use, and it's from the 80s. It's like the first digital shortwave radio. Still works. What do we got there? That's weird. See, that's the kind of stuff my fancy radio filters out. You hear a lot more weird signals on a analog shortwave radio. Because the modern stuff's just made to filter that out. So you miss all kinds of cool data packets and weird stuff like that. They do look like 70s technology, you're right. Now I want to say this one's like brand new, 20 bucks on Amazon. I went on a cheap radio kick. Let's see if we can get this. Oh. Almost catching something there. What's the cost of a top-of-the-line unit? I'd say my Texan PL880 that I was using, I mean, that was like a $200 radio, probably. And that's more than sufficient. So you can spend thousands of dollars on a big old base station, but the PL880 has been a really wonderful radio for me. It's probably cost less by now, I don't know. I think it was about $200 when I bought it. And as far as like a portable radio goes, it's wonderful. It has a great speaker, excellent reception. It's very portable, but still powerful. Oh. You can hear some data under there if you listen. You hear that? There's a definitive pattern. It's got to be someone's data transmission. Oh. So I slowly go to the bottom and I switch bands. Oh. What would the data be? It could be anything. It could be, you know, the problem is when you hear a data signal, you gotta know what program it's sitting, and whatever's receiving it is decoding those little robot noises into data. It could be pictures, it could be video. They have antennas where you can connect them to a handheld dish and pick up data signals from satellites. Get pictures from, like, imaging satellites that are beaming pictures to Earth. I might want to try that sometime. Is that almost something in there? Switch to band 5. When people ask what kinds of things you can listen to on shortwave radio, depending on the night, sometimes the answer is not much. But then some nights you hear the coolest, craziest stuff. So it takes a good deal of patience. Okay. So look, you can see we're on band 6 here, and that's this bar right there. And I'm just listening to any change in the static. So if I hear it pick it over something, the static will stop for a second. And we'll go back and try to fine-tune it. Oh. Look at that. That could have been something. Sometimes you almost start to imagine you hear something. The static is sort of mesmerizing. Oh. Come on. Well, Let's try one more on this guy here. This is the Sea Crane Skywave.
That's a good candidate for a lost soul.
Let's see here.
In these activities, these attempts.
Okay. Now we're searching on the Sea Crane Skywave radio. This is kind of my first, like, kind of nice-ish shortwave radio I bought. I always hear it advertised on Coast to Coast AM. So that's kind of part of my rationale in getting it. Oh, George Norrie talked about it. He recommends this radio. Let's see if there's a way I can turn the light off here so you can see what it says. See if I can't hold up my Sea Crane with another Sea Crane. There we go. That's a little better. Yeah, so it is searching for channels right now. Hey, there we go. Oh, WX is weather station, and air is like if you want to go to the airport and hear what the tower is saying to the airplanes. So I can listen to airplane chatter and weather band to hear what the weather is. A lot of people don't even know we have weather band anymore because people don't listen to the radio anymore. Music.
Second Peter chapter 1 and verse 1.
Okay, this guy is interesting.
Simon Peter,
He's a ghost of shortwave. He's a cult leader who broadcasts on shortwave for years and years and years, and he just goes on and on and on. Well, he's dead, but they still broadcast him. So let's listen for a little bit. He's wild.
Through the righteousness of God, God given the state, and it was right. And it's right for him to expect us to use that faith. To them that obtained right precious faith with us, through the righteousness of God.
Ever hear anything interesting on the air channels? Not really. I've listened in the airport. It's very boring. It's just air traffic control.
Inspiring to me, if you can believe that. So think of all these things, and that's why I think it's important to keep the message going. It's important to keep the teaching going. It's important for you to keep calling in and to keep doing what you're doing, because only you can do that part. I can sit here and I can talk and I can try and encourage people, but I'm telling you,
I'm gonna tell him more about the cult guy. I don't know what to say about him. Gosh, I'm trying to remember what the name of his cult is, but I've gone to the website. His name is something like Brother Mel, but they have like organic gardens and like huge kale plants, and their website, like, it's clear they try to make it like appear super diverse. So the one black guy who's in their cult is in every single picture. Super awkward. Trying to get you to come join the cult, but he broadcast just his ramblings day and night for decades and decades, and so he's just sort of an infamous figure. So I don't know who, like, at his ministry is still running the radio station, or maybe there's not anyone as charismatic as him. But he says some really weird stuff. It's pretty controversial, pretty angry kind of minister guy. Definitely not like if I was a radio church guy living out on the bayou or whatever. I don't think he's who I'd go to. There's got to be better option than listening to what that guy has to say. There's also quite a bit of interesting cult activity on shortwave. One of my favorites is Radio Supreme Master, or Supreme Master Radio. It is owned by a cult that there's this woman who's supposed to be like the reincarnation of the Buddha. And they have a vegan network, so they talk about all kinds of, they call animals their, animal people or animal persons, and their brothers and sisters. Okay, fine, nice to be good to animals, whatever. But they have their vegan like inventors thing, and they'll showcase an invention of the community. And this woman was saying that she invented this way to heat your water if you're camping, so that you can make like oatmeal or coffee in the morning. And her way to do it was to put the hose through the car's antifreeze system, like through the cooling system. So like basically using the cooling system, replacing it with water, and then drinking that water. And they're like, it's very efficient. You could be camping. You just have to turn your car on for 10 minutes to heat up a cup of water. And it's like, if you have a camp stove, that's way, way, way more efficient than, running your car in the middle of the forest for 10 minutes for no reason. And then drinking antifreeze water. Okay, let's see what we find.
From our studios in Nashville, Tennessee, we bring you Ask WWCR, a bi-weekly program that
Nashville, Tennessee, baby.
various topics of interest to our shortwave listeners. And now, here's the current edition of Ask WWCR. Welcome to Ask WWCR program number 602, which is intended for broadcast November 19th through December 3rd, or thereabouts, right? Somewhere in there. I'm Brady Murray, and I'm joined again by Zach.
Yeah, I wouldn't eat radiator oatmeal, bro.
We're doing an evening broadcast this time around. Yes, it's pretty late. About the time it would play back. So we had, they get a lot of phone calls. Yeah. Yeah, one day I think we got about between somewhere, the ones that I answered were between like 5 and 8. Just people, everybody was picking up Tom Radio. What's wrong with the radio station? Why isn't it working? And I always get this frequency. X-Class, whatever it is. Yeah, but and I understand people saying that. Like, this frequency always works. Right. I can see why you'd think it was our problem, but there's nothing we could do about it. It did make for some interesting, I think it was the 12th of November was the peak. I believe so, and it was very unsettled for a couple.
Atomic Clock out of Fort Collins, Colorado. Cuba, but we can't hear him. Music.
Blind. I don't understand what's going on today. We're falling into a ditch.
This is the cult guy.
In politics, in religion, in theology, in social studies, no matter what. We're in the ditch. We tell them on things.
We're in the ditch. Well, we're right at the 2-hour mark. I think that's it for me, guys. Thanks for tuning in, those that did, and chatting, especially Riley and Omar as well. Have a good one.